Hey YouTube, what's up? This is Brandon Rivington here, and I'm coming at you with video, we'll call it 2/1 right now because I don't really know what to call it. This is really the first video of any significant content that I'm doing in this language think tank series that I'll name in the future when I find a clever name for it. But technically it's the second video that I've made because of the little introduction video that I did for this series. Now, so here's what we're going to do. As I had said in my previous video, if you didn't see it, what I'm trying to accomplish is to put together a think tank, a language think tank, not language specific. Sometimes I kind of like, I'm a super language nerd. You check out my little collection. Can you see up there? Collection of language books, and then I've got about twice that much in my closet over here. So you know, yeah, I'm a Chinese and linguistics major. And so quite the language nerd. So if you want to get language specific, please go for it. I love that. But right now what I'm doing is something that's not exactly language specific. What I want to talk about in this first video is the conservation of languages and languages that are dying and what people can do, you know, and really what the implications of that are. You know, lots of people think, this is something that I actually heard the other day, which is what sparked my thought on this. And I heard it the other day, and definitely not for the first time. It's just, for some reason, there had been some space between when I had last heard. Excuse me. But somebody had said, Brandon, why didn't everybody just speak the same language? Alright. Kind of an annoying thing to hear. Like, I don't know if it's just me. Maybe it is. But I find that something that's very hard to believe that people would actually think, well, let's all speak the same language. Yeah, that'd be a hell of a lot easier for everybody. But at the same time, just give it a little thought. Everybody has a language that you deeply, like, that is in your heart. And you usually don't know it unless that language is taken away from you. You know, for example, I don't know, let's throw out some randomness here. If you grow up in Turkey, alright, you're speaking Turkish, and then you move for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe you go for vacation and decide to stay or something, you move to, like, Belize. Alright, Belize, they all speak English. That's the national language there is, or the official language rather, is English. I'd venture to say very, very, very few people, if any, in Belize speak Turkish. You're not going to use your Turkish as much. Maybe you'll call home to mom and you could talk Turkish with her. But all of a sudden, you're going to start losing this. Maybe not out of your mind, but just out of your heart, because it's not going to be there anymore. And that's going to be something dear to your heart, and you're going to want to keep it forever. But it's difficult, given the circumstances. Now, Turkish is a language of, I think, like 60 million people or 80 million or something of the sort. I don't know. There's a lot of people that speak it. There's by no means, unless like a bomb dropped on Turkey and happened to kill every Turkish speaking person, Turkish isn't dying anytime soon. Probably not even within the next like 1,000 years. It just doesn't look like it's going to happen, right? All right. So let's drop it down a notch. We got a language like Irish Gaelic. Irish Gaelic is a language spoken by, I think the Wikipedia account is like 1,800,000 something or other. So there's a decent amount of people who speak it, but all in all, not so much. This actually is extremely high up. If I remember what I read was, I think like 200,000 at the turn of the 19th going into the 20th century. And so to grow that much is extremely good. It's something that was, you know, by a group of people who decided, you know what, we don't want this language to die, we have to do something about it. So they started getting efforts going in Ireland. Now a lot of, or actually no, I think it's compulsory in schools that you take Irish Gaelic in school for at least a little while, I don't know, something of that sort. And it really just has jump-started this revolution of Irish-speaking people. Now, also from what I've read, it's not something that very many of the people who can speak it don't speak it on a day-to-day basis that much. Like maybe some random conversation with one guy as he passes him in the street or something like that. But I guess from what I read, it's not a whole lot. But, you know, so conservation efforts like that have been awesome. Now, there are languages all over the world that are dying severely. You know, there are languages, namely in highly populated countries like China and India, who may have 100 to 500,000 people speaking it, and you're thinking, oh, that is a decent amount. They're not going to die really that soon. But if you think about it, in India, you speak 100,000. If 100,000 people speak one language, and there are over 1 billion people, over a sixth of the world lives in the one country, that language is going to get oppressed because nobody, comparatively, percentage-wise, nobody speaks that language. And that language is going to get pushed to the side. Maybe the elders in that community speak that language, but the younger kids, they're going to have to speak, you know, Hindi or Gujarati or Kannada or whatever, you know, whatever the main language of that individual state is, and they're going to start losing that language. And by the time their grandparents and their parents die, and they're old and gray and dying, there's maybe only maybe 2,000 or 3,000 people who speak the language, who then pass it down to maybe a total of, for the ones who care, the ones who speak it and the ones who care, will maybe pass it down to 500 of their grandchildren. 500 people now speak it. They grow older. Have probably at this point, if only 500 people out of 1 billion in India speak it, nobody speaks it now. Boom, language is dead. So this happens all over the world. It's happening in Africa almost daily. I think the count is that like every 3 hours or something like that a language dies, or maybe it was every 3 days. I remember there's a 3 in it. Some random fact that I saw. So don't quote me on it. But you know, this happens in Africa a lot, just given the fact that Africa is the most linguistically diverse country in the world, or continent in the world. It's happening in India for that circumstance that I just gave you, but it's really happening everywhere. It's happening in the United States and in Canada with the, and in Mexico, I guess, if you want to get technical, Central America, with the Native American languages are dying very quickly, especially in the U.S., just because you don't really have any need to speak it. You may speak it on the reservation, but that's about it. You go outside, nobody really speaks it, and so they're dying quickly, very quickly. And so something that, you know, is just to be encouraged, I guess, is to go out and speak. If you speak a language that has got not a whole lot of people speaking it, go out and speak it. Remember, you got to remember. You talk to yourself, talk to your dog. I mean, a way that I've learned a lot of the languages that I know is by talking to my dog in that language. I'd sit around and talk to my dog in French for like years until I got that all together. And my sister looked at me like I'm absolutely nuts, and I probably was, but whatever, it works, and you get more comfortable with it, and you remember words. And see, that's a big thing with the dying languages, is a lot of them aren't written. You're losing words, or maybe write down these words, write down phrases and stuff to help remember this, and go out and I don't know, put together some sort of group. If you can find multiple people in your community who speak this one language that's dying, do that. Make a little community group to try to make this language better known. If this is something that's important to a country, like in Ireland, Irish in Ireland, see if you can get the government to do something about it, be it education or funding for your community or whatever. So that's what I've got. I'm kind of running low on time here, but that's what I wanted to throw out. And if you guys have anything to say, please let me know. If you don't have anything to say, please let me know. I just want some feedback. So message me, video response, comment, whatever. But I shall talk to you guys on the next video. Adios, salut, whatever, 再见, whatever you guys speak. Adios. Bye-bye.